Welcome. So, on behalf of Council for Creative Education Finland, I welcome all of you for the part two of our webinar of understanding the national education policy proposed by Government of India, Ministry of Education. So, today we will have interesting session which is focusing on the early childhood education. Now, when we are saying about the early childhood education, there are many different versions of early childhood educations are in the world. Now, and in current Government of India has proposed some new changes to this, and they are the very fundamental changes. Very major reforms are there. So today we are going to discuss about that, and we'll make sure that all our participants will get in-depth view about what is going to happen in the early childhood education space just in few moments. Prior to that, actually, I would like to go through quick what happened in the last week's webinar. So last Monday, we had the first version of this webinar, and in which we mainly concentrated on understanding the bigger picture of the policy. At the same time, we talked about how we are going to go through the details regarding the stages of the policy, what are the main key areas, how the policy has been implemented, what was the background, how many reviews and consultation processes were taking place in this entire process. So that's quite a mammoth exercise which has been performed before going to the final proposed and the approved draft of this policy. Before that, we just went through about what are the key principles on which the national education policy has been based, and we talked about the equity and inclusion. We talked about the community and participation. Also, the important part, how the CC has been instrumental in this entire area where we are mainly concentrating on the creative pedagogy. So we are really glad that the critical thinking and creativity are the integral part of the curriculum, and emphasis on the conceptual understanding rather than the rote learning. And that's our main area of research on which we are working on. And there are a few things that we talked about how the process is going to follow. Other than these points, we briefly go to the important aspect of how the overall aspect of the reform-wise, or how the structure of 5+3+3+4 is going to take place, and how the skills are important. So if you ask me one single point, what is a key crux of this policy is shifting focus from content to the skills. And that is an important part, how it is going to happen. And for that, we went through briefly about the structure of the how this structure will unfold. So this is a quick single diagram through which you can be able to go through that. We already talked about it last part. I will just brush up the things. So the earlier model the current model is 10+2, where we have grade 1 to 10 and then 2 years. The blue box here is not under the Ministry of HRD currently, or which is in the future, which will be called as a Ministry of Education. It is already has been renamed as Ministry of Education. But in the future structure or the new policy, this preschool education will be part of the Ministry of Education, and it will be integrated as a 3 years of the pre-primary plus grade 1 and 2. This entire thing will be considered as a foundational stage. Today, we are going to go in details only about this part. We are not going to go into the top in this webinar. So the teachers, the preschool teachers, owners, parents who are interested in the preschool education, or those who will be interested in the future of the preschool education, they are the main interest of today's webinar. So let's go through the important aspect of this early childhood education part, how that has been given into the center stage. So first of all, the national curricular and pedagogical framework for early childhood education will be newly drafted by NCERT. What does this mean is that the NCERT, what is current scope is from the primary education, they will also draft the early childhood education curriculum. Now, this is a very crucial change. Until now, the government of India has not touched this area. So the spread is mainly through the women welfare department or women and child welfare department, and it was mainly related to the care part. It was not related to the education part through Anganwadis and Balavatikas. But what is going to happen in the future? Now, this will be integrated work, which is from preschool 3 years, from age 3 to 6, plus grade 1 and 2, which is age 7 and 8. That will be integrated together. And in this case, we will have a major challenge of synchronizing the learning experience together. And for that, there is a point which has been mentioned here, and we will dwell upon that in detail very soon, that there is a 3 months play-based school preparation module has been proposed, which will be started at the early part of the grade 1. It's a 3 months preparation module in which we can be able to find out some basic things about literacy and numeracy and how we can be able to synchronize together. So for the teacher, this is one thing which is very critical. In my opinion, this module is so crucial, or in fact, the duration of that is also so crucial that in first instance, 3 months is very limited time, or in fact, it's very less time to give for this module. In fact, this module should be integrated from the end of the age of 5, and it should continue till age 6 in continuum. It should not be that, okay, now we are going to the grade 1, that means we start with this, and the so-called currently the upper kindergarten, or what called as a UKG, should not have this module. So this is not the case. This should be in continuum. That's one of the part. They have also proposed that this NCP, PF, ECE, means the National Curriculum Framework for ECE, will be aligned with the national and international practices. So one more answer why it is important to compare it with other countries, because the policy makers themselves have studied the different options. They have consulted different countries, and based on that, they have tried to find what is the best option. Now, so implementation wise as well, we have to consider what are the problems happening internationally. So today also we are going to talk briefly about how Finland has implemented this kind of reforms way back in 1970s, and what are the major changes happened for that. We will talk about that in brief as well. The important part is that this framework will be multifaceted. That means that they will be concentrating on the not only on the numeracy or literacy point of view, but also onto the play, puzzles, game-based problem solvings, drawings, creative parts. All these things are taken into the consideration. So this gives a very vast scopes for the teachers to equip themselves on the various creative pedagogies. And at the same time, they can be able to concentrate onto the learning experiences the children, the pupil will get in the future. And so that how they can be creative, that is an important aspect of this entire process. Now, to go forward, actually, because these 3 things on the creativity part, we have to see why it has been taken into consideration now itself. And for that, the ministry has come up with the basic idea of how the learning in the formative years, so the ages between 3 to 6 and age 7 and 8 are considered the formative years. And in this part, how the learning is happening in this part. So first of all, the theory of left brain versus right brain, it has been proposed quite way back. In recent years, the strict, let's say, differentiation between left and right brain is no more a prevalent theory. There has been evidences that the creative aspects or the non-creative aspects or the logical aspects, mathematical aspects may have impact on the both sides of the brain. We will not go into the details of whether left or right brain, but idea here is that the brain has unique ability to distinguish between the mathematical logical sequencing versus the arts, crafts, music, and as well as relationship, emotions, ideas, where the colors and alphabets will be differentiations versus the etiquette, behaviors, or emotional development. So these are the distinctive human behaviors, and the brain has to use those features together. It is believed that, or in fact, the policymakers has clearly mentioned that the current system do not explore all these possibilities. And I guess it's a first kind of submission done by the government, that these qualities are important: emotions, behavior, creativity, critical thinking, ethics, teamwork, collaboration are important rather than competition, single-mindedness, and so on. So this is a first submission, which is great. So this is a great congratulatory moment where we can be able to concentrate on these kind of aspects at the early childhood education. This is one important part. Second important part is that this brain-based development, this has been introduced for the first time, and for which there has been proposal of how this brain-based development can be able to go in hand with the early childhood education. And for this, there has been several proposals are there, out of which one critically and which is most talked about is about language formula. uh, Again, today we will not go to it in depth. Instead of that, we will take it toward the last part, why it is important to develop language at such an early age, and what form of language we should be able to develop in the early childhood education. These are the critical important factors that we should be able to consider. But at the same time, while considering this part, there has to be other multifaceted aspects that we have to take care with this policy. Now, today we have privilege of two of my colleagues joining me here. So, to comment on this policy along with me today, we will discuss as a part of panel here. My colleague Sangeeta Sen. Sangeeta, hi. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing great, and it's a really great panel. I must say that we are having, and what I would like to put forward, or what I would like to take ahead, is so I would like to continue the discussion that we were having, that as we understand that brain development is very crucial and very important, and that, it's a wonderful policy that has been framed, and the only way that it can be brought into light and can be correctly implemented is when we are ready to accept the change and when we are ready to be the change. So right now, it is a great shift from traditional way of learning, rote way of learning, to inquiry-based learning that we are going ahead. And since 0 to 3 is a crucial year when the child is staying with the parent in the house, so the parent also needs to understand that they have because now the children are born in an internet age wherein they are in a vast sea waiting with a lot of information everywhere. Even the parents are confused that what is the right thing that to pick up and what they should be exposing their children to. Many times what I have seen that children have delayed speech, or probably they are not mixing with their peers. So what parent need to be educated at this point, that 0 to 3 years is a crucial time wherein there should be selective screen-based learning, and it should be more parent interactive learning, wherein they will be developing the gross motor skills of the child, the fine motor skills of the child. They will be developing the linguistic skills of the child. They will be developing the cognitive skills of the child. And all these can be done through home resources. It can be done through modules which are developed. You can get a lot of modules, and I'm the founder of Kindercrate, and we also develop this preschool education curriculum, wherein we have developed modules which abolishes rote learning system, and it focuses more on development like gross motor development, life skill developments. And these are the crucial things which are required at 0 to 3 years of age, because only then we can progress as a country wherein, we are teaching about ethics, and we are teaching about responsibilities. And definitely when the cognitive development is there, the creative development is there, the linguistic development is there, the social development is there, then definitely the academic development, as in the numeracy and literacy we say, that will be taking place.
Excellent. So, what do you think that the crucial three factors on which we are concentrating are going to make the change? I guess you have made some ideas, and you are going to make some points on that actually.
The crucial, the three changes.
Yes, three important changes which will make this policy unique actually. Can you share your screen? Can you please share your screen with the slide?
Can you see it?
No, unfortunately not. So I'm just waiting for your part. So if you can share your screen, that we can be able to see.
Okay. So my screen is being shared. I'm sharing the screen. That's what I'm getting from here.
Okay, so Simran, can you see it, or I guess not. I guess not.
I cannot see it.
Yes. Okay. So I request Sangeeta, you can again restart start the screen sharing, stop it, and again start it so that we can be able to see it, because those points are really important here. Prior to going to the part of the Simran, so let me take this opportunity to give more information about what Sangeeta is doing. Actually, Sangeeta is a mentor, storyteller, writer, and organizational visionary. And she is a founder of the Kindercrate, and also the brand called as a Kiddies Oxford. And she has been working with the lifelong learning experiences, invoking curiosity of the kids, and at the same time, her mission is to impart the rich learning experiences for the early childhood education. So this is a part. So I think that we are going to hear more details about what key principles she is looking forward to learn from this policy as a 3-point this aspect what I am talking about. So Sangeeta, could you be able to share the screen now?
Can you see now?
No, you have to press the present now. So click on the screen and then present now. Share present now. So there is option of share now, and then you do it. If we are getting still the problem, then otherwise we can be able to move to the.
Okay. You can just continue. I'll just pitch in when it is. You may continue, because I'm doing present now. So can I just see that whether it's working?
No,
right
you
now?
have to click on the present now. Click on the window which you would like to put, and then click share. Share is the important button here. Anyway, so before that, I guess I can be able to still continue with the aspect. And now we talked about the main change which happened in the national education policy is integrating grade preschool 3 years with grade 1 and 2. So this has been taken from the multiple aspects. So one of the aspect which has been taken is we can see this as what is the current Finland education model looks like. And this has been gone through the multiple stages of iterations and changes. So it is important for us to understand how the current Finnish education is working and what are the important aspects of that, so that we can be able to see the parallels. First of all, this is from age 1 to 7 onwards, till doctoral degrees up to lifelong learning. This is the educational streaming of the Finnish education model. And under that, we can see, let's say, if we go into detail of this important aspect here, is that the at the early age of the age 1, or in fact at the 11 months, when the baby completes the 11 months, the parents have the amazing access to the early childhood education access, which is the point where you can have the daycares, or here in Finland what we call as a paivakotis. Now from that time till age of 6, you will have amazing free game based learning experience, without much of reading and writing on to the kid. Not a much pressure of reading and writing, but exploration, discovery. These are the important keywords that you can see how the kids develop their social and emotional learning experiences, understanding about their emotions, understanding about their environment, understanding about the language, or enjoying the language, enjoying the atmosphere. This is the major important milestones that has to be achieved during this part, and kids achieve them, so it's very natural for them. And keeping it so natural, that's why the kindergartens, or the here what we call as a daycares, and actually daycare is also not a right word. Here we call as a paiva koti, which is a day home. Means in the evening they will go to their own home, which is an evening home, but during daytime they will have their day home. This is a very beautiful word which has been coined here. So that's why it is really important, so that to create a homely, secure, safe environment in the school, or what is called as a preschool. This is an important aspect of this aspect, and this early childhood education comes under the part. And Finland is a very early country to draft the national level curriculum for the early childhood education. So it's a very unique part. And then also at the age of 6, which is a preschool education, where the some kind of a preparatory year, preparatory 1 year, by which you can be able to go to the primary school. So preschool is exactly word as it's a preparation for the school. What does this mean? That the once you are going to the school, you have to be very independent, you have to make your things, so you have to tie your shoelaces on your own, you have to eat your lunch on your own, you have to clean your table on your own. So these are the very important skill sets that has to be come together, and the Finnish preschools concentrate on this part. Now you will have this question, then when do they read and write and everything? So this is an important aspect which has been taken from the brain-based development. And what is a unique ability of a brain is that brain has a unique ability to experience and convert those experiences to meaningful learning experiences. Let's say I see a ball and there is a word called BALL. So we don't learn our mother tongue only through the word called BALL, but we just know there is a ball or whatever within your mother tongue. So how we learn the mother tongue is by connecting the experience with the sound or vowel. So this unique ability of brain has been taken into the consideration into the early childhood education, and because of that there is a thrust on experiences, understanding the language and speaking the language. Now I would like to take this to the same model which I was talking about, where now you can be able to see this area where we are concentrating on the early childhood education within India. Now you can see the parallels or what the things are coming together is that the language learning is very early phase, and you can learn as many languages as possible before the age of 10. So the when I say you can learn language, that means it's not about writing or reading, but understanding, comprehension, connecting sound with experiences, all these things. For example, when I say ball, it's not BALL for the child's mind. It can be pallo in Finnish, it can be chendu in Marathi, it can be gend in Hindi, it can be anything, but he or she can be able to connect all these things together with the same experience of the ball. So this is a unique ability of a brain, and which can be used in the early childhood education. And this is a fundamental change which is going to happen, and which we propose that it should happen, that the language learning, irrespective of how many languages it can be there, we should be able to use this brain ability. Unfortunately, within current model of education, people consider mathematics or science are more important. So that's why they start the mathematics and science number 1 to 10 and all these things at a very early stage. That is not the strength of the brain at that age. We have to concentrate on the languages, aesthetics, expressions, emotions. These are the important things. So this is a fundamental change which is having the impact. And that's why the curriculum, which is a foundational learning curriculum for the age 3 to 8, has been now currently focused on the age 3 to 6, has been divided for EC, which is like a early childhood education and care, and age 6 to 8, which is a preparatory or the foundational learning phase. It says that it has a universal access of 3 to 6 years. That means that currently there is a access of the free access to the Anganwadis, to the Balvatikas, but that is a qualified access. What does this mean? Qualified, that not everyone is by default mandatorily going there. It's an optional part. But with this new policy, it will happen so that it is a mandatory for everyone to be in the preschool by the age of 3. And that gives an opportunity for the parents to expect something from the schools in a gradual learning manner. That means that the now the parents has the ability so that they can't send their kids to the school till the age of 6, but that's not an option. Now it's a mandatory and free education that they have to send by the age of 3. This is one important change what is going to happen. This is a major change. This is going to make a major impact, and one of the important suggestion for that was on the budgeting side. So current budgeting that India spends around 4.2% of its GDP, which is proposed part, only spent is only 3.5%. So there is a deficit, or that there is a non spending happening for almost 0.7 to 0.8%, which is a huge amount. And now the current budget or the proposal of this new education policy gives up to 6% of the GDP. So in fact, we have to double our expenses. So problem is not with the money, problem is how to spend it. And once we take this gambit of age 3 to 6 into consideration under the education policy or education ministry, that means we have to give major emphasis of spending at this stage. And this is a very fundamental aspect of the part. To understand that part, we have to consider two important aspects. First, and that is awareness among the society. So society should be aware what is going to happen. So whatever I'm telling you about this brain-based learning and the spendings, all these things, so parents should be aware about that part. And second important part, all the preschool owners should be aware about that. So to comment on this part, I have with me my colleague Simran Balani. So Simran, welcome.
Thank you, Heramb, and good evening, good morning, greetings of the day in whichever part of the world you are. And I hope each one of us watching or hearing us is okay in the new normal. My new normal is very innovative thanks to CCE Finland. On my down days, I think, acha, aur kuch nahi hai, to CCE in Finland is doing something creative. So thank you very much for giving us such platforms to bring in our views and doing this early on at the early stage of NEP. So I think it is one of the most innovative thing that India has done in terms of an education policy. And there is a lot that can be accomplished in this. But before I go to that, I know there are a lot of viewers, a lot of our CC Finland fans like me who are watching this. Please remember this webinar is of 5 parts. This is just the second part, so keep a track on that. And a very important thing which is happening is between September 21st and 25th, we have an early childhood conference, which is a worldwide participation. And for the first time, this platform is not only open for educators, school owners, teachers, but also for parents. So I will request you all to go through the links that will be posted on YouTube, on Facebook about this webinar and register, especially parents also. And it is going to be a very engaging and learning session. So, sir, can I present my deck?
Yes, please go ahead. And actually, we are looking for two important aspects on the what the parent should take out of this and what the school owner should take out of this.
Yes. Correct. So let me see if I can present it. And so can you, are you able to see this?
Yes, very much. Please go ahead.
Okay. All right. So I have put it in full screen mode. Sorry, I'll ask your one more. Go ahead. Heramb sir, are you able to see this?
Yes, very much. Please go ahead. Yes, perfect.
All right. So what we are discussing today, or what this webinar is aiming to, is we are more of discussing on the implementation idea. Now, this policy, when I was doing my research, it is so much broader that there are a lot of things that can be accomplished under this. But how are we going to implement it? So it is a very good forum to discuss these ideas. This is a little bit about me. I'm an educator, strategist with 22 years of experience. I'm also working with an NGO called as Early Childhood Development Forum. I have been doing early childhood studies, and currently I'm doing my leadership in that. I have also worked with Govt of India through their NEP as a trainer. And I have my research paper publication with CCE, of course, and World Academy of Science, Engineering and Technology. Okay, so when I was doing this research, I thought we are interpreting NEP and we are looking into it. And I saw so many educators, educationists, very senior people commenting on it. But it is very important to see what is NEP meaning to curriculum, to accessibility, to parents, and to school owners. So where curriculum is concerned, of course, Heramb sir also spoke about this. The curriculum and framework is going to be formed by NCERT. And this also has a lot of question marks, which we might cover in the next webinar, is what will happen to the current preschool curriculums and how will we be accredited, how will we be evaluated. And also it is talking about national and international best practices. What does it mean to parent? I mean, parent can, of course, definitely look forward to a holistic and overall children development with ethics and with etiquette learning, which is one of my favorite subjects. Coming into the curriculum is the best thing. And of course, students will have more of a play-based curriculum, art, stories, poetries. So this is what NEP in short, in nutshell, means to curriculum. Sir, are you able to see my slides when I'm changing them?
Yes, very much. Please go ahead. This is perfect.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about overall development. And this is, again, because this is what we are looking when we are looking at early childhood education. We are definitely looking if you pick any educator in this field, they will say, we want overall development. We want nurturing to happen. So again, this NEP is talking about designing of curriculum. Should be play and activity based. A lot of schools are doing it. Parents, of course, parents will also focus. The parents can expect to focus on overall development of children. Like school like ours, which is Little Millennium, we are focusing on their social-emotional development, their public speaking, along with whatever the academics is. All right, and again, it focuses on learning will be enjoyable for children. I think this is one of the fantastic derivative of NEP. When the child is coming to a preschool, it is a home away from home. So we need to make sure they're enjoying, they look forward to coming to school. Accessibility. Yes, this is again something which we are going to come to interim 3-month play-based school preparation model. This again should also have time for the child to make that adjustment if the preschool is not having first grade and the child is going to the bigger school. This also opens a window of a integrated teacher training module for primary teacher, which is a first grade or a second grade teacher who necessarily is not trained in early childhood education, right? Parents will need collaborate with schools and peers for play-based model. I think this policy is also Also, engaging parent more and more, which I am liking a lot, because a lot can be done in child's development when the school and the parents and teachers work together. And of course, for students, learning will be consisting of activities, workbooks, and there is learning of alphabets, sounds, words. That all is there, but they are having the accessibility to it. Okay, this is the most important thing. And in one of our meetings, Heramb sir, if you remember, we were discussing this. This all, if you believe me, we always say it starts with teacher, but for me, it starts with these school owners, these school educators, and the senior management, because they need to understand what this policy means to them, what the curriculum is going to mean, and how they have to understand the training and the administrative, the safety, the curriculum. So it is very, very important under this policy for its implementation to work, is to make sure that the school owners have some kind of a awareness certification programs. So I will pause here and say, so when we take teachers in early childhood education, we make sure they're certified. Similarly, when a group of people are trying to open a preschool, they need to have some kind of certification. So they also need to know what is the capacity building of their teachers, why teacher enhancement programs are going to be more important than ever, right? And also very important, how and why they have to fill up the teacher gap in case there are teacher turnarounds. So for me, very important parts here. Role of parents and community to be integrated, and high quality teachers to actually take this policy into implementation stage. So let's talk about how. So see, for example, CC Finland is doing a lot of programs for principals. Am I correct, sir? Heramb sir, am I audible?
Yes, very much. Actually, we have the program on the program in pedagogical leadership, mainly for the principals to understand how the leadership can be developed in the academic way, not on the administrative way. Perfect.
Yes.
You're right.
When I did this research, there are very few educational bodies internationally or in India which are doing this program. So one of the implementation ideas that the government will definitely have to look into it is to make sure that there is some kind of a certification criteria for school owners to do that and then open the school. So let's look into this slide and another slide. I'll take about 2 more minutes. So draft NEP highlights importance of high quality teacher educators for ECC. It also states that teachers' capacity, please put your attention here, the teacher's capacity is one of the primary cause of learning crisis. But are we also seeing that teacher capacity sometimes is also determined by the management focus? If the management is not focusing enough on teacher training, it cannot have the desired result in child development that they're expecting. So some of the key factors that should be in school owners certification programs should be basics of preschool administration and management, safety measures, very, very important, especially in a country like India. I have seen many schools which do open up, but there are no safety certifications or awareness programs for the staff or the owners. Legalities, license requirement of running a preschool. Very, very important is principle of early childhood education, child health, development and growth. This is also for preschools who have extended daycare programs. They need to know what all health and nutrition the child needs. Importance of teacher enhancement programs and administration of childcare and education. So this basically would be something which I would like to propose as a very important part of implementation. The second most important is parent engagement program. So usually the schools were, we used to get children as early as 22 months. But now with this policy, the good part is that 3 years it is mandatory. But another thing is we're not getting that 2 to 3 years period of a child. But we can have solid parent engagement programs to get the child ready for nursery. All right. So these parent programs again can be basics of early childcare pedagogy. I think we have this program in ECSU, correct, sir?
Yes, very much. Yes, exactly.
Yes. So I think those links also can be posted on YouTube while the audience is here. And then, if possible, mandatory parent engagement program. Okay, so if there are educators on this forum, if when the child is taking the admission at 3 years, so they have come to us when the child is 2.5 years. So we can engage parents in a mandatory parent engagement program, and that could be like on a monthly basis, on quarterly basis, and this will go in a long way of having that parent continue that journey with the child in preschool. Develop opportunities and process for increased parent volunteer program, like a reading program, or we have parents who are doctors or who are in some kind of a field and who can be a part of child's learning. Develop educational videos. We know a lot of parents travel and they are busy, so schools can take one step further and develop such kind of videos where the parents can see at their own time and yet make a difference in the child's life. So, yeah, this is my closing slide. So I would like to say that we as a country, we are an innovative country and we are so proud of it. And if we can do jugaad, which is like the hack, or we can figure out a way of reaching out to students in this new normal where the country went into this online migration just overnight, right? We can do a lot under this policy. It is just how good we do implementation of this. And thank you so much for listening to me. And I hope we will see you more in the ECE conference and also in the next webinars that are going to happen. Over to you, sir.
Simran, thank you very much. I guess the two important aspects that you discussed here is that first of all, the objective of these webinars, which is going to happen now, or in fact, which are going now, is not just to talk about the policy or just to inform about the policy, but there is a process that we are documenting all the recommendations that we are coming together, and we are going to present to the Parliamentary Standing Committee of Minister of Education, which is headed by Dr. Vinay Sahasrabuddhe, so that we can be able to develop this as a long-lasting process. Because the policy just a document, unless and until you have the strong plan to implement it and strong actions to implement it, the policy do not have any meaning to that actually. So this is what is the process. So one point which you mentioned, very valid, that the school owners, preschool owners, if we consider the education of India as a whole one unit, the smallest possible executable unit will be the preschool, which is over there, and the leader of that should be aware about this policy. And if we want to make the teachers as the role model here, then the preschool owner should have the enough understanding how the policy is going to implement.
Yes, and so we need to have this as a mandatory certification. This cannot be an optional one. Because if we have optional one,
this is the first proposal.
Yes, so we need to have this, even for the continuing established schools under new policy, under new NEP, they need to obtain a certification. Maybe we can give them 3 months time or 6 months time. They can be online. That can be maybe Govt of India can appoint 2 or 3 different education institute, one like yours, where they can obtain it online, they can obtain it in person once the corona is over, of course. And this cannot be an optional thing. This cannot be, because this is like the foundation. So if this is solid, everything else will follow in place.
Actually, that's what the same point actually, which I was talking in one of my speech 2 days back on Independence Day. I was talking with the youth, and the central point was that it's not that the first time the policy is coming. Policy was there earlier. Policies were also there. There was right to education. There was continuous comprehensive evaluation framework was there. But the problem of how that policy can be communicated to the last person who is going to implement it, and for which this kind of preschool owners understanding or certification will make a major change. Otherwise, it will. And same thing with the parents' awareness. So thank you for those comments, and we are going to take this to the forward.
Sir, there is a parent comment. Can I answer that? There was a parent question.
Please
there is Mr. Mandar Sutta. You had asked a question, saying that parents are working from home and bombarding sessions or through Zoom to small children is not a very good idea. I completely agree with you, sir. And we have a lot of programs for parents, for learning of parents, and which also in one of the webinars done with CCE Finland, we talk about e-Sisu school and how it gives the time limit which the parent will need to focus on a particular activity of a child. So it is not going to be all online for small children. We are only trying to take a very small amount of parents' time, and through our e-Sisu school, we can absolutely make sure that parents can educate the child. Sir, you might want to add something.
So,
yes, thank you for this actually. So Simran, so Mandar Sutar has raised this point as a part that what is happening in currently because of the COVID-19 lockdown. Now we are increasingly getting aware about that. Okay, now we have to continue with it online, and online is equal to screen time. That's what the understanding the educators are having. Through research, we can be able to understand that the attention span of an adult itself is not more than 17 minutes. Leave apart the young child. So now, if we want to convert this understanding into the early childhood education, can we assume that, okay, we will have 30 minutes of teaching, 1 hour talking time, and you expect the kids of the age of the 5, 6, 7 years or 9 years will sit in front of the screen, or even in that case 12 years old. So we have to change some methods. And one of the important methods that we have proposed is a synchronous and asynchronous learning methods, wherein you can be able to use the online meetings or online discussions only for understanding the basic ground rules, what are the activities are going to happen, and then using technology, using sensors and using mobile phone, not very expensive one. All these things are the very free apps, very simple things, how you can be able to use it. And for that, e-Sisu school, which is a Finnish preschool, which is completely online, anyone from across the globe can join this preschool, and they can be able to enjoy how the learning can be very innovative for their kids, and for which the basic concept is how the experiential learning can happen and how the parents can understand that learning is going to be very concrete. It is not just playing together, but also playing through the learning. And for that, we are using some specific apps, and we are having some specific apps like Kindidays, which takes the overall platform into consideration and understand. We have some LMS by which we can be able to develop that together. And it's a very simple thing for the parents so that they can be able to enjoy their experience as a parent. And second important aspect of that, we believe that now the parents has a different role to play. So in short, the parents now are no more only parents. They are also a teacher, but they can't replace a teacher. They have to get the basic understanding how the child learns, how your child is reacting to stimulus. If the new idea comes into is fine, if there is a new game is coming in front of the child, what kind of learning, what kind of thinking is happening in the child's mind. So now parents have to understand this part. So CCE has actively come up with this course called Know Your Child. It's a very fundamental course based on the child psychology, but in very simple words, so that the parents can understand. It's open for all. Any parent in any part of the world can go through it. It's not only for the preschool children, but also you will understand how the primary school children thinks, how the development happens, what kind of stimulations they required, what are the important learning methods, or what is the importance of a play in early childhood education, or what are the practices which are being used by the very high-end education models across the globe. So this is very, and it's very affordable, very simple.
It's nice if you can post this link on all the YouTube, Facebook, everywhere. So parents who are seeing, educators who are seeing, they can note the link right away. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate this part. And now I would like to, with this basic ideas in mind or recommendations in mind, I would like to again come back to Sangeeta. Now, Sangeeta, can you please concentrate on these 3 aspects model that what we are talking? If you can be able to share your views on this part, and then we can be able to go to the timeline of the this entire module?
Yes. So I was hearing to both of you, and it was really great. And I do agree with what you all were saying, that, this is a major change that is coming up in this through this national education policy. And what we need to understand, that it is not only 3 years upwards that we should be concentrating. It starts from 0. So ideally, if we break up the structure, it should be 0 to 3. It should be like homeschooling. You can do it through the wonderful platform of CCE, through the EC, through the program that they have. And you can also have it through us from Kindercrate, where you can homeschool and, you can do it at home with home supplies, developing the holistic and the fine motor development of the child and all that. Now, what we need to understand, that this 3 to 6 years, the first 3 years in the foundational years of a child's life and education, I recommend that it should be strictly in preschools and not a part of the elementary schools. So preschools should be separate. And the reason being that, what we need to understand as parents, that when children are going to an elementary school for the preschooling, they are lost into quite a lot of things. First of all, the vast campus, the rigid timetable that they need to follow. They have to travel a distance, and they have to manage all by themselves in that vastness. From a home to a cozy place directly into an ocean is a big transition, which many of us, probably as a parent, we don't realize. What we feel, that probably, we have put a child in high school and chalo till 12, we are safe. But what we don't realize, the anxiety that goes on in a child's mind, and how to go ahead with it. So it's highly recommended. What the advantage of preschool is very close to your home. Probably it might be a 15 to 20 minutes distance, or even less than that. The timings are flexible. The teacher there is ECCE trained, because with high school, many a times, the primary teachers are forced to take the pre-primary segment. And here, from 3 years to 8 years, to bring this policy into full-fledged effectiveness, it is very important that the teacher for this 3 years to 8 years has to be mandatorily ECCE trained. Now, we need to understand where the shift in learning is happening. If we look at the current picture, the rote learning, we probably, when we are teaching them, probably in grade 1, that, this is plus and this is minus. What we teach that 3 apples, add sign, 2 apples equals to 5. This is the current way of teaching. The shift comes, what we do at Kindercrate, the shift comes when we say that this is a sleeping line, and this we add 1 more line. So 2 line comes, a standing line. So this is a plus sign. So whenever I put this, what you do, you put more objects to it. Suppose there are 2 objects, and then they are putting whatever objects the child is feeling. So the child knows that 1 is already there, and we are putting 1 more, probably 1 more popsicle stick to make that sign. And then we are, we know that now it's an addition, and we are getting more in number. When it is subtraction, we take away 1 popsicle sticks, and we are left with that sleeping line, which is the sign of a minus. So this basic understanding is what is now coming into picture. And for that, it is very important that the teachers are trained, that a massive training needs to happen at this ECCE level. And that is what it should be. Now, the 0 to 3 years, which is again given the playway school module for the grade 1. When we are looking into it, like how Heramb sir was saying, that we should be like, we should make it, the period 3 months is less. We should rather make it elongated. Rather, it should start from middle of senior KG or UKG, whatever level it might be, till it should probably be going to the last, it should be going to the first few years in grade 1. Now, when a child is in the last level of the preschool, that is the senior KG, what the teachers should be doing is gradually they should teach them how to disassociate with the teachers, and how to learn to manage things themselves, the life skills, the skills that, which is required in a high school, that is to manage their own tiffin box, to tell their needs, to express their needs to the teachers. So all these transitional things should be taught at the senior KG level. And also, what is important, when they are going to the high school, that is the grade 1, the elementary school, the first 3 months, they should be focusing on, like, initially, like, adapting in the big environment, adapting to the school timings, adapting to the travel, because by the time the child is 6 years old, and the child is more developed than compared to a 3-year-old who is put into a preschool in an elementary school. So by that time, the child will be able to manage and adapt himself, and then gradually the teachers will be brushing up with whatever they have learned, be it linguistic, be it mathematics, or whatever they have learned, and then numbers, colors, shapes. So it will be a revisit in a playway method, not the typical rote learning or traditional method that we have currently. And then gradually they will be preparing for their grade 1 learning. So it's a huge shift that is going to happen with this implementation of this national education policy. And primarily, the first thing that needs to be focused on is that the teachers needs to be trained, and from 3 years to grade 2, it should be only done by ECCE trained teachers, because these teachers will be doing excellently well, because they are used to the playway method of teaching. For them, it doesn't look funny when they are just telling a child that, they are probably role playing to a vegetable vendor, or they are role playing as a flower seller, because they want that curiosity to be generated in the children. They want that the children should be part of it, and they will be questioning, and they will be seeking an answer. So it's a huge shift that is happening, and teachers training is the first thing that should happen to make this policy effective.
Yes, superb, Sangeeta. Great. Actually, this is what I was expecting, that what are the important milestones and how to achieve them, and you have, I guess, briefed it very, 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 very well. So, couple of points of the summary is about what will be the role of the preschools which are standalone right now versus the preschool which are connected to the schools which are going on. So that's an important point of discussion. I would like to take it within our panel now. Second important part is what is the importance of the age 0 to 3, and what is the role of parents here in this when we take them to the. So the role is not to teach them ABCD, but involve them into developing the curiosity, creativity, and this is not something that we should be able to do. This is nothing to do with the so-called very highly educated parents. In fact, we should have a less educated parents at the early childhood age, so that they should not spoil the kids with too much of reading and writing. This is my simple. I guess you will agree to this part, because I guess in the old days we didn't had much of the pressure till the age of 7 or 8 to go to the even school actually. So till the age of 6. Before 1970s, the school used to start after age of 6 if they would like to do it. But now, because of the advent of too much of competition, too much of so-called urbanization, now we think that earlier we put our kids to the school, then it's better. But it's a reverse. We are spoiling their basic instinct of learning by putting them into the teaching mode, or we are the basic human tendency of learning is getting marred because of the excessive teaching. This is important part or aspect what also you have shared. So now coming to the important aspect, that when all these things are going to happen, there are some specific recommendations Sangeeta as well as Simran has made. And now there is a very, very important part is on the timeline. And my comment here is on the timeline. So let's try to see when all this is going to happen and in which part what the policy has proposed. And then I will come to Simran on commenting on that part. So prior to that, just briefly, I will take you through the policy timeline so that you will understand how the policy will be getting implemented into different phases. So if you see right now is only for the early childhood education, what they have proposed is that the initial implementation of a 1 year of pre-primary school and 3 months preparatory module for class 1, it will happen in 2021 and 22. This is, in my opinion, is a very aggressive timeline. It is impossible to achieve timeline. And even though I said good about the policy, this slide or this part of the policy, I'm totally, I'm very skeptical about. And also, in fact, this is a first recipe of failure. Now, I will tell you why is it so. We emphasize the importance of teacher training or creating awareness among the school owners, creating awareness about the parents. Now, these are the important stakeholders in this process. Unless and until we understand all this thinking about the brain-based learning, understanding about how the kids learn, what are their intricacies in curiosity, creativity, critical thinking, unless and until the last person understands this importance, and if you start implementing it at the school level, no one is going to adapt it with the true sense. They will just tick mark it and they will understand, oh, there is a 3 months module that we have to complete it. 3 months module will have literacy, numeracy importance. So they will again concentrate on the numeracy skills only. And this is a major problem in this policy implementation point of view. So here we are not talking only about the problems, but also we are proposing some solutions which we are taking it to the Parliamentary Standing Committee. So our proposal here is, unless and until we have a teacher training modules happening for the first stage of the preschool teachers, we should not start this phase 1. Let the phase 1 start in 2024-25. There is no hurry for us. By hurrying up many things, we are going to have the failure. Instead of that, plan the things in advance, learn from the other countries, learn from the countries who have made it successful, or in fact, learn from your own experiences. You see the experience of the what happened to the CCE or continuous comprehensive evaluation. Continuous comprehensive evaluation or RTE framework came in 2009, and it was in a hurry to implement it in 2010. I don't know why, what kind of political compulsions were there for the implementing it in 2010 itself. So people never knew about what is a summative assessment versus formative assessment, and normal teacher converted the formative assessment as a unit test and summative assessment as a final test. This was the most convenient interpretation of the CC what I was at, and I was laughing at that time. Why is it so happening? But there is a specific understanding about formative assessment, how it should happen. It should not, formative assessments are such a way that the kids do not understand that we are getting evaluated, but they are been getting assessed based on their expressions, their ideas, thinking, project behaviors, interaction with other kids, and so on. So all these things should not be tested by, okay, now tomorrow you have a test of 25 marks. That's not the objective of that part. This is an example of how you can fail a policy because of the hurried actions. So here our first proposal is to move this part to 2025. First, concentrate on the developing the teacher training modules, concentrate on developing the parents' awareness, concentrate on the school owners or the school principals' awareness, and then go to the actual this preparatory module. And second important recommendation. Right now, this entire policy is still coming from top to bottom approach. It is good that policy can have the overall understanding. They have taken the inputs from bottom, from everyone, and now they have formulated the policy. But implementation should always start from bottom. policy can come from top to bottom, but implementation should start from bottom to up. What does this mean? That before implementing this 1 year modules, have we demonstrated it in pilot mode in one school, that whether they are effective? This 3 months module is effective in building the bridge between the preschool students to the primary school, or the bridging the gap between the preschool versus the primary school. There is no evidence for that, and we have assumed that this module will change it, and we expect that this will happen in 1 year. How can we do that? So implementation wise, it is really important that we should be able to identify some sample schools across the nation where we can be able to have this pre-studies going to happen. Based on that, preschool modules or this preparatory module should be implemented. We should be able to test them. We should be able to get the feedback from them, and then we can be able to put this into.
Hello.
I think the connection somewhere there is. Sheetal, are you able to hear me? Sangeeta?
Yes, I'm able to hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes.
Okay. So till we get Heramb sir back, Sheetal, can I continue? Okay, all right. So till we get Heramb sir back, I think there's some problem with the connection. I would like to take a few parent questions. Mr. Sachin Mahesh wanted to know, in my presentation, there was an article that was cited. Where is it from? It is from Times of India of last Sunday. And we've already posted the link on YouTube. So Mr. Sachin, you can take it from there. Miss Anjali Damaharne has a question. What about illiterate parents? How will they get certificate? How will they get certificate? I think this will also be taken care of, because this policy to be really effective, this has to go deep in the roots of India, which is the rural areas. So very good point, and we are noting it. There is one Miss Achala who has a question. How can you convince parents that they need training to be good parents? Excellent question. Well, I think when a child is born, there are certain kind of protocols are taken for its health, for its nutrition, and they are all mandatory. Again, as we are talking about the implementation of this policy, we want to make sure that this also becomes parents' training or engagement, becomes a kind of a mandatory thing which they need to follow, to make sure that there is no gap, because until and unless we are not engaging the parents, we will not be able to achieve what this policy wants. Heramb sir, welcome back. I was answering parents' question till then. So the last one is, Bhargav, I think teachers should have proper training as well as good environment from the school management or in charge. Once teachers are motivated and in good mood, their productivity will improve itself. Excellent thought, Mr. Bhargav. I always believe that teachers have a trickle-down effect to their children. I make sure when my teachers are coming, they are very bubbly, they are very fresh, and they are very happy in the morning, because otherwise they cannot have that effect on the children. So again, teacher training is important, but again, it lies in the hands of management, how much happy they keep a school environment to make sure that the class for the day goes very well. Back to you, Heramb.
Absolutely. I would just like to add a few to what Simran has said, that it is very, very important in a preschool that, the teachers are properly trained, because since, as I might sound repetitive, but why I'm sounding repetitive? Because to make the NEP successful, we need a shift and we need a proper training wherein teachers should unlearn the rote learning practice, and they should adapt the practice of inquiry-based learning, wherein they're developing the curiosity. So you're absolutely right, Mr. Dasani, that teachers should have a proper training. And for this, it also goes to the school owners and managements, wherein they understand the importance that why it is required to hire a teacher. Because many a times I come across teachers who want to apply that kuch karne ka nahi hai, I've just done my MBA, so for 6 months I want to be a preschool teacher. Absolutely, you're not qualified for it, my dear.
Sure.
You need to have a mindset, you need to have a thought process, and you need to know that why are you here and what you are doing. So the school management, first of all, they need to understand this. Only then they can implement a successful training for the teachers. And once it happens, you see the changes that happens. The parents are also very happy. Now, somebody had asked that how to convince a parent that they need training to be a good parent. Well, it is also when you are having a preschool, which is bringing about some change in the preschool teaching. It is also a onus on the school owners that they have this parent connect programs wherein they take up and they tell parents that it is important, because you also need to unlearn that learning is not about just knowing to write ABC and recognize ABC and to know the numbers and colors. Because many a times I get that my certain child, of certain school is able to write. Why at nursery you're not teaching them how to write? What is important to understand that a child in nursery should first develop the fine motor skills. And only when you develop a fine motor skill, only then can you have a grip. A pincer grip is what gradually they develop. They need to manipulate the writing tools, and only then you write. So we strictly say that no, we will not be doing the writing part in the nursery level, and that is what exactly is being said in this NEP. So we need teachers who are to be trained. We need parents who, first of all, needs to understand this and needs to support the school and the management that yes, writing at this age is not required. In the house, you can do a lot of things like kneading dough. Probably they can also play with the cloth pegs. They can burst the bubble wrap sheets. So when they are doing all these, they are actually working on their fine motors. So yes, Mr. Heramb, you can just take it forward.
Superb. I guess you have hit the nail here actually, and that's what is really important. I guess I got disconnected in between, but I made my point about the timeline, how it was there. I guess that was being heard very well. Now coming to the very last and important point, I know that we are getting past our time, but this is to make this concluding remarks. It is really important to talk about what will happen to the preschools which are standalone or only preschools which are there, because the policy says that we are combining the preschools with grade 1 and 2. Currently, grade 1 and 2 is under the primary schools, which will continue as it is from grade 1 to 10 or 12 as it is. The same thing problem will happen to the junior colleges, where the junior colleges are 11 and 12. They are standalone and they are not connected with the grade 9, 10. So this is going to change a major structural change into the schools. So there are some specific recommendation from our side that we are talking about, and now I bring upon this as a common discussion. First of all, what are the problems of the preschools which are connected with the main school? Any points on this part quickly, or problems, or what kind of from students perspective or from parents perspective, what are the critical issues that the parents think while getting admissions to the preschool which are connected to the preschools, connected to the school? Simran.
So sir, we spoke just before you got disconnected, we spoke about unlearning. So there is a lot of unlearning for lots and lots of us to do, because this is a new era. So the preschools who are only doing till K2 needs to unlearn their current procedures and have the vision to have first grade and second grade, have the curriculum to do that, have the teachers to do that, the infrastructure to do that, and also it will help if they are tied up with the K12 with the main school, because they can tell them from what kind of background the child is coming from, what kind of teaching system has been adopted, and what should be continued there. Because in the first grade and the second grade, as we have spoken about, the teachers have not been trained on early childcare education. That is going to be a most important thing for schools which are very comfortably being doing first and second grade forever. Because they have been doing it, they now need to know that this training is going to be so very important for their teachers for first and the second grade. And also, we have not seen the transition from the second grade to third grade if the child is in the preschool. Assuming the
Super. I guess you have made this important point, and that's what actually the important suggestion from us is that instead of starting it from the primary schools, those where the teaching subject is important, it is important to give the experiences which is already there in the preschools. So it should be in continuum with that. So it is easier and it is very logical to train the teachers who are in the preschool to create that continuum of the preschool 3 years plus grade 1, 2. Very important point, and that will go as a suggestion altogether. Sangeeta, actually, you remember, actually, Miss, we were talking about the safety and security point of view. Do you have any specific point on the part of the continuum of the safety and security and secured environment in the preschools?
Yes. So here what happens that, when a child is coming directly to a preschool, so what happens is the environment of a preschool structure, if I look into it as a structure wise, it is smaller as compared to an elementary school. So here it is possible for the preschoolers, even the preschool management, to keep more nannies in the class, more teachers in the class, to have a security at the class and at the gate. And at the same time, what we need to understand that a preschool which is something which is very close to your house. What the parent need to understand that when you are adapting to a preschool which is in an elementary school, the child needs to travel a distance. The child needs to follow a timetable that is probably waking up at 7:30, a 3-year-old waking up at 7:30 and attending a school at 8 and till 12 and coming back at 12:30 or 1. It is very, very tiresome for the child. The child needs flexible hours to stay at school, and there lies like safety and security wise, if you say that since the structure of a preschool is smaller as compared to an elementary school, so the more focus on probably even through modules like iSafe, which we have at Kindercrate, the children can be sensitized by themselves what is self-awareness. So all these programs are possible with a smaller number, wherein teachers are sensitized, wherein the attendants are made aware and everybody is made aware, and the children themselves know the self-awareness rules. And so when they are going to an elementary school which has a different infrastructure, and yes, if that happens at grade 3, which is a great suggestion or a recommendation that we are about to make, then a child is fully prepared, as we can say, not only with the learnings but also with the life skills and also with how to manage oneself in a large number. So
Yes.
that is very much important, I feel. So that's where I feel that preschool, standalone preschool should be there for the foundational years, and it should not be a part of an elementary school.
Superb. Actually, the point is also on the point that we should be able to have from the distance from the home, which is also one part. Also the safety, security, the arrangements, the home like feeling at that age, which is mainly at the age of 3 and 4 and 5, where we don't expect the kids to be an adult. So please don't your kids to be an adult. They are young kids. They have their own emotion. They will cry. It is their right to cry, and let them cry. The job of a preschool is how we can be able to create an experience which is not which will help them to smile at the same time, and that's the process. So the preschools where we run, actually our first task of our teachers for first 1 month is to have maximum amount of games for the parents, so that parents will come there in their free time to play with the kids, and that way they should be able to not be able to cry. That's a different pedagogical approach that we are taking altogether, and the objective is that, okay, first 1 month we observe that the kids should not cry. Let's try this kind of thing. That's a admission criteria for the teachers to be there, actually. So now coming to this point, also on the point of the timetable, actually. So what is happening in the current primary schools, the timetables are strictly adhered. And in the early childhood education, what this policy gives is experimental experiences and discoveries. Now, this should not be strict inside the half an hour modules. And the teachers who will come down from the grade 3, 1 to 3, down to the preschool, they will have that mindset of putting everything into the time slots. And because of that, they can be able to not have the continuum of the parts. And that's what actually, I guess, Sangeeta and Simran was talking about, the educating the preschool teachers with unlearning the process and learning something new in this model. So if we have a school which is connected with the normal school, and as a part of the management, it is easier to shift the teachers down so that they can be able to take care of that. Because preschools are normally been taken a secondary seat as compared to the primary schools. So managing the preschool teachers we consider it as easy. But here it is the most difficult thing which can happen. So it is really important that we should be able to have as a standalone preschool part. So I guess these were the important points that we were talking about. So we have a very clear path. I guess there is some background noise coming from Sangeeta. So if you can mute your microphone for a couple of minutes, just mute the microphone. So thanks. The objective of today's webinar was to give the deep detail or what are the implications that are going to happen because of this new policy. But we should not be afraid because there is enough time for that. But as a parent or as an educator, we should be able to concentrate on these 5 important points. First, and please help Sangeeta and Simran, you can help me. First, the teacher training is mandatory and we should give enough time to implement it. Second important part is the principal's training, or the school owners training is also important. They should be sensitized, they should be made aware for that. Third, parents training, parents awareness, and getting it to the last point, that's the important part. Whatever the preparatory module should be there, it should be only after the trainings are more or less available and they are up to some level, so that we will not go back to square zero to start the process. And fifth and most important part is creating the pilot project in the standalone preschools to continue till the grade 1 and 2, so integrating it together. Also, we should be able to have a comparative study, what is the impact of the preschools which will enhance themselves to grade 1 and 2 versus the schools which will take them to the preschool. I know that there are existing preschools which are connected with the main schools are there, but please bear in mind we are changing the policy. That means we have to change the mindset as well. Yes, Simran.
So, sir, for me, I completely 100% agree to your 5 points. For me, of course, it will start on the school owners training and certifications, because that's where that particular person or that group of people have decided to open their preschool. And that's where it starts from. So it is first that they are educated, very well aware what they're putting their hands and mind into. And of course, so that is there. But we also spoke about the timeline when we were discussing the timeline. And you said it is going too fast. So on that point, I had to mention that perhaps when you're proposing this to Govt of India, there has to be a committee. They have spoken a lot about international best practices and national best practices. So there has to be a committee which is comprising of Indian educators and international school bodies, which come together and monitor the implication and implementation of this policy. Otherwise, it is just out there. Like each one of us is just like free to use the way we want. There has to be an accreditation process. There has to be an evaluation process. And since now we are as a country at a stage where we are talking about international best practices, the committee needs to have those senior people from different parts of the world saying that, yes, you have made this policy and you're going at the right way.
Superb. So, very well said. Very well said, actually. So I guess these are the important points that we wanted to put forward. But this is not the end of the webinar things, which we are going to have it on the next Monday. Next Monday, we are going to take a very interesting point about the language learning. This is a very controversial point. People are talking about it, but we will take how the language learning should be there from the brain-based learning point of view, how this policy addresses that. And also we will go to the foundation stage. We have completed today. We will go to the preparatory stage, that is grade 3, 4, and 5. We'll understand about that part, and also about grade 6, 7, 8. We will cover that in the next Monday. And then next 2 webinars we will dedicate it to the high school education, and then to the university, the graduate education, to be specific. So we'll try to take part. I would like to thank Sangeeta and Simran for contributing your points. It's a great having.
Sir,
Yes.
sorry to interrupt you. There are 2 parent questions. One Sangeeta would like to answer, and there is one parent that I would like to answer.
Yeah.
So,
The only thing, Pat, be quick, because we are just going maybe beyond the part time. Please go ahead.
So there is Mr. Sachin Mahesh who has said that Indian parents are overprotective of children, and this fear in them can probably be detrimental in teachers' performance and impacts the education. Yes, that's true, and that's why the need of the hour is the parent engagement program, parent involvement in each stage, so that they know why teacher are, because both parents and teacher have a common interest, and that is the child. So only when parent is brought onto this forum on the same platform, they will understand what is teacher trying to do. So I hope I've answered the question. Over to you, Sangeeta, and thank you, Heramb.
Thank you.
Yes, so this is from Mr. Mrunal, and he is saying that parents prefer preschool attached to a school since admission kind of becomes secured for the future. So I agree to it completely, and that is the reason why I strongly recommend that if we are focusing on the foundational years and success of this policy, it is important that elementary schools should not have preschools. It should be segregated. Parents, this is for one reason that they put their child to school, that chalo, you don't have to worry about the grade 1 admission onwards. But what we do not realize is the child from 3 to 5, or probably the initial year of 3 years or 4 years, when they start the elementary school, they have to do quite a lot of adjustment and anxiety that goes on in the child's mind. So for the benefit of the child, as an early childhood educationist, I strongly recommend, rather we in the panel, we strongly recommend that preschools should be segregated from the elementary schools, and if not till senior KG, if not till grade 2, it should definitely have till senior KG. And once this is the structure in place, then I guess, Mr. Mrunal, you'll not have a problem, because all the children will be going to preschool, and then all of them will be going to elementary school all together. And then definitely there will be certain rules and guidelines to select the students in the elementary school. I hope I could
Yes, very well said, because it's a structural change. So whatever will happen for the one person, it will happen for the all. That means now it's a time for give a specific recommendation, and the recommendation is to have the implementation where the preschool standalones with a grade 1 to enhancement will be more preferred. So with this part, I would like to thank both of you and also our audience. Today we have got an amazing engagement on our platform, including Facebook, YouTube, as well as CC website. We have at least 1,200 plus live visitors are there. Really happy for that. It's great. And we are looking forward to the next part. Last week also, we have more than 1,500 visitors. That's really good. And it has been given a lot of questions and remarks on this part. I really appreciate this part. Thank you, and see you next week.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Sangeeta. Thank you.